Hello, everyone that accidentally clicked on this video. As you probably read the title, this is just my 2 cents on Neurality's recent video where she talks about cancel culture, which is a follow-up to her video on Maid. As an aside for anyone watching, I do tend to get pretty angry throughout this video, but this is just because of me disagreeing with Neurality's viewpoints. I don't hate Neuralities as a person. So, without further ado, I hope you enjoy.
So, my last video on child-coded character design ended up being... I don't want to say popular because that feels wrong.
Oh look, another person who wants to respond to Neurality's terrible take.
Congratulations.
For those unaware, Neuralities is an anti-tuber who has gotten a lot of flack for her takes that have basically been the moral guardian's typical response of lolly's bad, anime, male gaze, blah blah blah. Of course, YouTubers like Necro XIII and NataliexHunter have already covered this issue, so either I'll find like-minded people as well, or this will just be lost to the YouTube algorithm, but you never know, time will tell.
It did receive a larger response than I am used to. First of all, I did receive a lot of comments from people being genuinely happy that I talked about this.
Those people are sheep that can't think for themselves. I'm not being mean, I'm speaking the truth.
To the audience of people who did not agree with me,
as in yours truly among several others,
I originally wanted to put this part at the end of the video, but I don't think the people who disagree with me will actually engage with this video for long enough to get to the ending, because they certainly didn't with the last video.
Well, I got news for you. Those people did see the video all the way to the end, and they still disagree with you. You'll also notice that Neuralities also comes across as incredibly condescending throughout most of the video, particularly when she brings up the people that disagree with her. Trust me, you're gonna have to get used to it.
So, here is my follow-up statement to the Maid video, I guess.
For those unaware, she's talking about the child coding video that she did before this video. I'll link it down in the description and you can see it for yourself. Just know that she's complaining about Elu's design, which a lot of people have done in the past, so just keep that in mind.
I know it seems silly to keep talking about this and like I'm wasting my time, but I genuinely want to believe that most of the people who disagreed with me are not acting with malicious intent, but are just simply misinformed or maybe a bit confused.
As if to say that Neuralities is objectively right and anybody who disagrees with her is just ignorant. Despite how many people backed up their stances with facts of their own and pointing out fallacies within the very video that Neuralities posted, but she'll just tune them out and not listen because, God forbid, she be proven wrong.
If you are willing to take the time to actually listen to my side and then you still disagree with me, then that's all I can ask. Because there is no conversation at all if you're not even willing to engage in the first place.
Why would anyone bother to engage when you've already shut them down by saying if they disagree with you, they're misinformed or confused? You've already prevented some discussion from happening.
Before you start writing a comment on this video, I want you to really take some time to think critically about which side of this argument you want to land on.
That bit about thinking critically is going to be very ironic when we get further into the video.
The reason I brought up the author of Rurouni Kenshin not facing jail time or even being fired for his possession of roughly 100 DVDs of real child porn, like not anime, actual human children.
So you can tell the difference here, but not throughout the rest of the video? Also, he was charged because CP objectively harms children. There is no gray area for that.
The possession of child pornography only became totally illegal in Japan in 2015. Charges for possession include imprisonment for up to 1 year and being fined up to 1 million yen, which is just under 9,000 US dollars. He was fined 200,000 yen, or less than $2,000.
And even fans of Rurouni Kenshin hated Watsuki's guts because of that. You know, like they should, because what he did was disgusting.
To everyone who commented about the sexualization of child characters in anime having no real-world harm and that it's just a part of Japan's culture, I would like to inform you of the increasing rates of child abuse, which includes sexual abuse, that Japan has been experiencing. reaching record-breaking heights for the last 29 years in a row.
That same source shows that emotional abuse is actually the most reported case, not the sexual one. Noralities then proceeds to talk about Japan's age of consent, which anyone can figure out if they look past the first thing that they Google, which then leads to this.
Arguing that it's fine because it's not technically illegal in Japan should mean nothing to you. I can guarantee from my video analytics that at least 44% of you are from the United States. Like 100 people living in Japan clicked on my video, which is like 0.01%. They are not the people I am trying to talk to here. You cannot use cultural differences as a defense when part of that culture also ends up hurting people.
Except those same people are harmed by those that wish to harm and take advantage of them. They're not harmed because of anime. It's the same argument that people use to say that FPS games cause people to become violent in real life.
Media does not exist in a vacuum, and portraying sexualized child characters in any media normalizes the sexualization of children to the audience. Why do you think so many of you can't even see this as a problem? It's because anime has normalized it to you.
You see what I mean about her acting condescending? Also, people don't see it as a problem because they can distinguish reality from fiction. Fiction can be fucked up sometimes because it's allowed to be. It isn't real.
And also, none of this matters anyway, because guess what I found out after making the Dragon Maid video?
Warning for those who don't like TNA.
The author, Cool Kyo Shinja, has drawn at least 5 comics of child porn, so there is literally no point in defending this person. One of which is 194 pages in length. Do you know how long it takes to draw nearly 200 pages of anything? This is a theme in Dragon Maid for a reason. This isn't even a matter of possession. This guy is producing and distributing comics of child porn.
And by your definition, you'd also be distributing it, no matter how much you censor. Also, the characters in this particular doujin are college age, so the argument of it being CP doesn't even hold any water. Neuralities then proceeds to bring up Dwight Worley, who was convicted for downloading actual CP, so there's no defending him. And she also brings up the Protect Act, which many deem unconstitutional due to how vague it is and infringing on freedom of speech. Which then brings us back to the actual topic of the video.
Kobayashi's Dragon Maid has a story. It depicts and frames children in sexual situations, but it is not porn. It would not be classified as obscene.
Because the characters in Dragon Maid don't resemble actual living, breathing people.
But because his doujins depict children having sex with adults, those would be considered obscene and they would not be protected under free speech.
Except again, if you bothered to actually look it up, which you clearly didn't, the characters are of age, one being a college student and the other being a dropout.
I'm not going to pretend I know what this guy's deal is. I don't know what's in his heart.
You just said a few minutes ago that there was no point in defending the author.
You are quite the fascinating contradiction.
What I found interesting about the negative responses was most people knew they couldn't outright defend the sexualization of Kana or Ililu's design because it would implicate them as siding with people who think that being sexually attracted to children is fine.
Last I checked, the only people that say sexualizing children is fine are the pedophiles themselves. And to the people that did want discussion, they knew that no matter what they said, you wouldn't listen. You just tune them out and circle back to your original point and just say, I'm right, you're wrong. There is no room for discussion.
Which, some people still did do that anyway, though, and those people can leave.
Further proving that you didn't want a discussion in the first place. You just wanted a circle jerk and for people to tell you that you're right.
But most of them worded their grievances so that they weren't directly addressing the actual points that I made, but framed it so that the problem was with me and my perceptions. The most common responses being some form of, it's just fiction, not reality, or, if you don't like, don't watch.
I fail to see why people like you think that this is an invalid argument. Last I checked, nobody is forcing you to watch anything. If you don't like it, you could always just hit pause, close your browser, or just stop watching. And if you thought Neuralities was condescending and arrogant before, oh boy, this tirade that I'm about to show you is gonna put that to shame.
Wow, the scales have fallen from my eyes. Truly, how could I have been so blind? I am a human being that is clearly unable to distinguish fiction from reality. How silly of me! I wonder why all those people were so upset at the minstrel shows and the depiction of blackface when it's just a drawing after all. Art never has an impact on people, obviously. Like all those people upset at the Confederate flags and statues in America? What? They're just statues in fabric. It's not like their presence means anything. I mean, it's not like a drawn image can reinforce and perpetuate harmful ideologies to the people who see them, so much so that a government might even take action to ensure that depictions of those images have legal consequences. Oh, wait!
This is the part of the video that I've seen a lot of people take issue with, and I can hardly blame them. She's treating lollies with the same severity as minstrel shows and Nazi propaganda. I could go on, and I will eventually, but I think that this clip pretty much summarizes my thoughts after hearing that for the first time.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
The reason why blackface and minstrel shows were so harmful is because it treated African American people as subhuman. The reason why Nazi propaganda is harmful is because it encouraged a harmful ideology that ended up killing millions. Lolicon and Shotokan, by extension, doesn't harm anyone. Lolicon and Shotokan, they're not propaganda. All that this tirade does is shut down anyone that disagrees with her, where everybody who does agree with Neuralities will just tell them, you're wrong because, duh, idiot.
But wait! There's more!
We now move on to the people that do agree with her. Starting with this Reddit appreciation post. Though this is more like a simping post, if you actually read through it. In itself, appreciating Neuralities isn't a bad thing, but the issue comes up when you actually get to the replies. Many people point out the fallacies in her argument, and the people that defend her either regurgitate what she says or claim that they didn't even watch the video at all. And this further extends to the comment section of her video. I'll post the link to the original in the description, and you can see the comments for yourself. It more or less reads the same way as this appreciation post, just on a larger scale. I will show a small sample of the comments from the video just to show you where I come from when I say that Neurality supporters are sheep. Because while there are plenty of people in the comments section that rightfully point out the facts that she got wrong, there is an enormous amount of people that will go to her defense just because. And it'd be one thing if they defended Neuralities with facts of their own, but from what I've seen, they don't, and the comment section just becomes a goddamn war zone. And if she were just to say, I don't like Lolicon, that would be fine. Not everybody does. But I'll be damned if you compare Lolicon to something that is actually a crime and actually harms children and leaves scars that last a lifetime and contributes to a market that continues to harm children. And if you think people are that impressionable to always replicate what they see on the screen or think whatever they see in fiction is okay regardless of what it may be, you really don't give the average person enough credit. People who think this way are impossible to debate with because they'll always think that they're right and they'll quickly resort to acting on emotion rather than fact. And when they do that, it's best to just walk away from them because you'll get nowhere other than just being even more pissed off than before. Last I checked, your feelings do not count as facts. And before you say, oh, you had to be passionate in order to debate something clearly, sure, but you can do that while also using evidence and not just bouncing back to, I'm angry, therefore I'm right. And whether it was her intention or not, Neuralities comes across as incredibly arrogant, condescending, and holier than thou. It boggles my mind that so many people would rally behind someone that treats every one of her viewers like an idiot. You can still support somebody and like their work while also pointing out where they need improvement or where they fall short. How would you expect somebody to improve if they're unwilling to listen or unwilling to learn? I'm really bummed about going on this tangent here because, for what it's worth, Neuralities does put a considerable amount of effort into the videos that she makes. She definitely is passionate about what she talks about, even if they are chock full of false information. And the artwork that she posts on her social media, I have Instagram that I mainly use, the artwork that she posts there is legitimately gorgeous. She definitely is talented. And if for some unholy reason that Neuralities accidentally clicks on the video or one of her followers does and sends it to her, as unlikely as that may be, please think about the feedback you're receiving, whether it be positive or negative, and determine whether or not there is stuff you can improve or not. Regardless of what you decide to do, don't make such a dangerous claim as to say or imply that the people that like lolicon are pedophiles. That's incredibly dangerous and harmful to people that haven't committed any actual crimes. Every fandom and group has bad eggs, but they're the exception, not the rule. And for everyone who stuck around until the end, thank you for at least hearing me out.